Have you ever caught yourself thinking too deeply about life, people, time, or meaning? If so, you're not strange. You might be one of those rare minds whose thoughts run deeper than words and whose silence speaks volumes. Deep thinkers live in a world where curiosity never sleeps. They question, analyze, and search for truths that others overlook. In this video, we're diving into the psychology of deep thinkers, how their minds work, why they see the world differently, and what makes their inner universe so incredibly rich. The mind of a deep thinker is not a still pond. It's an ocean, constantly moving, reflecting light, concealing depth, and revealing meaning to those who dare to look closer. Deep thinkers don't just process information, they transform it. Every experience, every conversation, every emotion becomes material for analysis and reflection. They live in an ongoing dialogue with themselves and the world around them, a dialogue that shapes the way they understand reality. At the core of this mental depth lies a heightened sense of self-awareness. Deep thinkers have an extraordinary ability to step outside of their own thoughts and observe them as if from a distance. This process, known as metacognition, allows them to not only think, but to think about their thinking. It's as if their mind has a mirror inside it, constantly reflecting, adjusting, and evaluating. While most people react instinctively to events, deep thinkers pause, they analyze, they search for patterns, causes, and hidden connections. This pause is not hesitation, it's their way of navigating a complex world with intention. Neuroscientifically speaking, deep thinking often involves increased activity in the default mode network, DMN, a set of brain regions active during introspection, daydreaming, and self-referential thought. This network allows the mind to wander constructively, to form creative links between seemingly unrelated ideas. For a deep thinker, this wandering is not a distraction, it's a natural state of exploration. Their thoughts don't just follow one line, they branch, loop, and connect in intricate ways, much like a neural web in constant evolution. Deep thinkers also display an elevated tolerance for ambiguity. Where others crave certainty, they are comfortable in the gray areas. They can hold multiple perspectives in mind at once, understanding that truth is rarely black and white. This mental flexibility gives them the ability to empathize with others, to consider different sides of an argument, and to see possibilities that rigid thinkers might overlook. It also explains why they often find themselves lost in thought, because their mind refuses to settle for easy answers. Emotionally, their inner world is just as layered. Deep thinkers tend to feel emotions more intensely, not because they are fragile, but because they analyze what they feel. When they experience sadness, they don't just feel it, they ask why it exists, what it reveals about human nature, and how it connects to the larger picture of existence. This introspection can lead to profound insight, but also to emotional fatigue. The same mind that can uncover beauty in complexity can also spiral into overthinking. It's a double-edged sword. Clarity and confusion, wisdom and worry, all coexist in the same mental space. One defining feature of a deep thinker's brain is its slow and deliberate processing. They don't rush to conclusions. Instead, they prefer to let ideas mature. This can make them seem indecisive to others, but in truth, they are allowing thoughts to ferment until they reach a state of deep understanding. Their patience with complexity is what allows them to grasp subtle nuances and generate original ideas. They see connections where others see chaos, meaning where others see randomness. Another important trait is intellectual curiosity. Deep thinkers have an insatiable need to understand how things work, not just mechanically, but philosophically and psychologically. They are drawn to abstract concepts like time, consciousness, morality, and meaning. For them, thinking is not a task, it's a form of existence. They read not to consume information, but to ignite contemplation. Their curiosity often leads them into solitude, because true thinking requires space, both mental and physical, to breathe. But there's a paradox here. While deep thinkers are capable of incredible insight, they often struggle with mental overload. Their brains are constantly processing layers of meaning, evaluating every possibility, replaying every word. This can lead to exhaustion or even analysis paralysis. The challenge for them is learning when to stop digging, when to accept that some questions have no immediate answer. Mastering this balance between depth and simplicity is one of their lifelong psychological lessons. Creativity is another hallmark of the deep thinker's mind. Because they connect ideas across distant domains, they often come up with innovative solutions and artistic expressions. Many great inventors, writers, and philosophers share this mental wiring. Their creativity doesn't come from thinking more, but from thinking deeper, from exploring the underlying principles of things rather than their surface appearances. It's this curiosity-driven imagination that allows them to envision what others can't yet see. However, living in such a rich mental landscape has its costs. Deep thinkers can become trapped inside their own thoughts, overanalyzing interactions, choices, and possibilities. They may struggle to find peace in simplicity because their mind always seeks depth. For them, silence is not empty, it's full of echoes. Their greatest strength, the ability to think profoundly, can also become their heaviest burden if not balanced with mindfulness and rest. In the end, the mind of a deep thinker operates like a universe within itself, vast, mysterious, and self-sustaining. It is both a sanctuary and a labyrinth. Understanding how it works is the first step towards appreciating the beauty and complexity of those who see the world not as it is, but as it could be. And it is this very depth that makes deep thinkers the quiet architects of change in an ever-noisy world. Deep thinkers move through the world at a different rhythm. Where most people chase speed, results, and surface-level achievements, deep thinkers are guided by a quiet search for meaning. They are not obsessed with how fast things happen, but with why they happen at all. Their perception of reality is slower, richer, and infinitely more layered. They don't merely see what is, they sense what lies beneath. To a deep thinker, the world is not a stage for action, but a vast field for observation. Every detail, a gesture, a word, a silence, carries significance. They notice the pauses between sentences, the tone behind the message, the emotions that linger in the air. This sensitivity allows them to see patterns that others miss, to find poetry in ordinary moments. Their gaze is both analytical and artistic. They can turn a simple conversation into an exploration of the human soul. But this depth comes with a price. The modern world rewards quick thinking, instant reactions, and fast decisions. Deep thinkers, by contrast, are wired for reflection. They need time to process, to connect dots, to let thoughts mature. When forced to act in haste, they feel uncomfortable, as though they are betraying their own nature. Theirs is not the path of efficiency, but of essence. They value the journey of understanding more than the speed of conclusion. This difference in tempo often makes them feel out of sync with society. While others rush through life chasing deadlines and dopamine hits, deep thinkers slow down. They ask questions that stop time. What does success really mean? Why are we doing this? What is the point of constant movement if we never arrive anywhere meaningful? To them, a fast life without reflection is like reading a book by turning its pages too quickly. The story passes, but nothing is understood. Deep thinkers experience reality as a layered tapestry. On the surface, they see the same world as everyone else, cities, people, events. But underneath, they sense invisible structures, motives, emotions, energies, and patterns of cause and effect. When they walk through a crowded street, their mind doesn't just register sights and sounds, it contemplates stories, connections, histories. A stranger's look can spark a chain of thought about loneliness, fate, or human nature. To others, it might seem like distraction. To them, it's awareness. One of their most defining traits is their preference for solitude. In stillness, their mind can unfold fully. Noise, crowds, and constant stimulation can feel overwhelming because their senses and thoughts absorb too much. Solitude isn't isolation, it's oxygen. It allows them to listen not just to the world, but to themselves. This inner dialogue is where they make sense of life. They recharge not through entertainment, but through introspection, walking alone, reading deeply, or simply observing the play of light and shadow. Deep thinkers perceive reality as a layered tapestry. On the surface, they see the same world as everyone else, cities, people, events. But underneath, they sense invisible structures, motives, emotions, energies, and patterns of cause and effect. When they walk through a crowded street, their mind doesn't just register sights and sounds, it contemplates stories, connections, histories. A stranger's look can spark a chain of thought about loneliness, fate, or human nature. To others, it might seem like distraction. To them, it's awareness. One of their most defining traits is their preference for solitude. In stillness, their mind can unfold fully. Noise, crowds, and constant stimulation can feel overwhelming because their senses and thoughts absorb too much. Solitude isn't isolation, it's oxygen. It allows them to listen not just to the world, but to themselves. This inner dialogue is where they make sense of life. They recharge not through entertainment, but through introspection, walking alone, reading deeply, or simply observing the play of light and shadow. Deep thinkers perceive time differently as well. For them, moments expand. A single sunset can feel eternal. A meaningful conversation can echo in their mind for days. They measure life not by how many things happen, but by how deeply each one is experienced. This makes their lives feel simultaneously fuller and slower, as though they live in a different dimension where quality outweighs quantity. Emotionally, their perception of the world is tinted by empathy. They don't just understand how others feel, they absorb it. When they witness joy, it uplifts them. When they see suffering, it echoes within them. This emotional resonance gives them profound compassion, but can also make them vulnerable. The pain of the world weighs heavily on them because they can't turn away from it. They feel the invisible undercurrents of human emotion that most people rush past. Their sense of beauty is equally intense. Deep thinkers often find beauty not in perfection, but in authenticity, in flaws, in silence, in fleeting, imperfect moments. They might find more meaning in a crack on an old wall than in a glittering skyscraper because it tells a story. They look for essence, not appearance. Where others seek distraction, they seek understanding. Their eyes are tuned to the symbolic, the metaphorical, the hidden meanings that lie beneath the visible. In relationships, this perception manifests as depth over breadth. Deep thinkers are not drawn to large social circles or superficial interactions. They crave meaningful connection, conversations that challenge ideas, friendships built on honesty and thought, love that feels profound and transformative. Because they see beyond appearances, they often sense what others hide. This can make them both deeply empathetic and difficult to deceive. Yet living in this heightened state of awareness can also be isolating. The world for many is about movement and noise, but for a deep thinker, the beauty lies in silence and reflection. They may feel misunderstood or even alienated, as if their wavelength doesn't match the collective frequency. But it's in this very dissonance that their gift resides. Their slow, thoughtful perception acts as a mirror to a world that moves too fast to see itself. Ultimately, deep thinkers remind us of something vital. Life is not a race to the finish line, but an art to be observed, felt, and contemplated. They live with a rare form of mindfulness, not the kind taught by quick fixes, but the kind born from genuine curiosity about existence. For them, every moment holds meaning, every person has a story, and every silence has a message. Their world is not flat and fleeting, it's vast, textured, and endlessly deep. And while the world speeds past, they stand still, watching, thinking, feeling, seeing the invisible patterns that weave through everything. Because to a deep thinker, depth is not an escape from life, it is life itself.
For deep thinkers, communication is rarely simple. Words, to them, are not just sounds or symbols. They are bridges between inner worlds. And when your inner world is vast and layered, finding the right bridge becomes almost impossible. They feel deeply, think intricately, and perceive subtle shades of meaning that language often fails to capture. As a result, their thoughts can feel too big for words, and conversations that others find easy may feel, to them, like trying to express the universe through a keyhole. The difficulty begins with the way their minds process information. Deep thinkers analyze every idea from multiple perspectives before they speak. By the time they open their mouths, they've already considered possible interpretations, counterarguments, and emotional implications. This internal filtering makes them thoughtful communicators, but also hesitant ones. They want their words to be precise, honest, and meaningful. Yet the world around them often values speed over substance. In fast, surface-level conversations, they can feel out of place, as if speaking a language no one else understands. Another reason communication feels hard for them is their intolerance for superficiality. Small talk, gossip, or casual chatter may feel draining rather than energizing. It's not that they dislike people, quite the opposite. They crave authentic connection, but conversations about weather, fashion, or trends don't satisfy their hunger for meaning. They long for discussions that touch the soul, ideas, emotions, existence, purpose. When such depth is absent, they feel unseen. They might withdraw, not out of arrogance, but out of quiet disappointment. Deep thinkers also listen differently. When someone speaks, they don't just hear the words, they sense the intention behind them. They pick up on tone, rhythm, and emotion. They can tell when someone's being insincere, evasive, or hiding pain. This sensitivity can make social interaction overwhelming, as they constantly read between the lines. They often know more than they want to know, the sadness behind a smile, the fear in a confident voice. It's like having a radar for authenticity, one that never turns off. Because of this heightened perception, they often feel misunderstood. When they try to express something deep, their words can sound too serious or too intense to others. People may mistake their introspection for aloofness or overthinking. This misunderstanding creates a cycle of frustration. The deep thinker speaks carefully, isn't heard properly, and then retreats further into silence. Over time, They may begin to believe that no one truly gets them, a lonely thought for a mind that craves understanding more than anything else. Silence for them becomes both a refuge and a prison. They prefer silence to empty talk, but in that silence, they can feel the ache of disconnection. They might spend hours replaying conversations in their heads, wondering what they could have said differently or whether they revealed too much. Their analytical nature, so powerful in thought, can turn inward in self-doubt when it comes to human interaction. Communication, which should connect, sometimes becomes a battlefield between expression and overthinking. Yet when a deep thinker does find someone who listens, truly listens, everything changes. Their words come alive, their ideas flow, their guarded nature opens like a flower in the sun. They can speak for hours about philosophy, art, psychology, or the mysteries of existence. With the right person, communication becomes effortless, almost transcendent. It's not about talking, it's about sharing consciousness. These rare connections remind them why it's worth trying to express what's inside, even if the world often misunderstands. Another factor that complicates communication for deep thinkers is their fear of shallowness being mistaken for depth. They value authenticity so highly that they can't stand pretending. If a conversation feels forced, they'd rather stay silent than play along. This honesty can make them seem distant or even intimidating, but it's simply because they can't fake interest in things that don't resonate with them. They are drawn to sincerity like a moth to light, and equally repelled by artificiality. There's also an emotional paradox at play. Deep thinkers often understand others far better than they are understood themselves. They can listen with empathy, give profound advice, and perceive emotional truths others can't see. Yet, when it's their turn to open up, they struggle. Vulnerability feels risky, especially in a world that rewards simplicity and dismisses complexity. They fear being labeled too much, so they keep their most beautiful thoughts locked away, shared only in writing, art, or private reflection. Social dynamics can exhaust them. Group settings, quick banter, and constant noise leave them drained. They prefer one-on-one conversations, where depth can unfold naturally. But in a society built on speed and surface-level engagement, these opportunities are rare. So they often become quiet observers, the ones who watch more than they speak, who notice everything but say little. Their silence is not emptiness, it's observation, processing, understanding. Ultimately, communication is a paradox for the deep thinker. They want to be understood, but fear being misunderstood. They crave connection, but resist superficiality. They value honesty, but know how fragile truth can be in conversation. The result is a constant tension between the desire to express and the instinct to protect. But this struggle is also their beauty, because when a deep thinker does speak, they speak with purpose. Every word carries weight. Every sentence is a reflection of something deeply considered. Their rarity lies not in their silence, but in the quality of what they choose to share. They remind us that true communication isn't about noise, it's about meaning. And sometimes their quietest thoughts are the ones that speak the loudest.